We're live.
Live. Hey guys.
There's nobody here yet.
There's nobody here.
We're talking to ourselves.
Well,
yeah.
That's where I get the best replies from.
I think we're done. Honestly, I don't think we can go much further. Should I lower the camera a little bit?
Sure.
I'm gonna lower the camera a little bit while we wait for. Nobody's gonna come in here.
No. Did anyone know we were coming on tonight?
Well, it's our regular Thursday night thing, right? Okay.
It is. They should know.
How's that? Is that better?
That's a bit lower. Yep.
Okay. Oh, look, people.
We can see the cigarette smoke like romantically wafting up across.
It is romantic, isn't it? All right. Chris Greenaway, what's happening? Russ Bucket Restos, what's happening? Curtis Kane, Bill McKeiska, Dirt Bike Gary. Dirt Bikes. That's a good name. You guys don't say, you guys say
We say a little bit like, no, not quite like the Canadians, but a little bit.
You the guys that say
What? No, don't think so. No. Is that what?
No, Monty Python and the Holy Grail. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. He's the mechanic that says. Let's see. You can't be serious. John M. Matthew Boot, Marco Ciccarelli, Wayne Buzzle. I'm sorry if I'm missing anybody's names there. So how is everybody doing tonight? What's new, Kiwi? What's new and exciting with you? What kind of interesting stuff?
Well, I had an interesting day today. Actually, we had 2 Mopar wagons come in.
2 Mopar wagons.
2, not 1, but 2.
That's a rarity.
It is, yeah. I did a short on one of them because it was only there briefly, and that was a '73 Coronet wagon, like a 9-seater.
Yeah,
gorgeous car.
Powder rocket, but a station wagon.
Yeah, it probably is actually. Yeah. Gorgeous car. Just has a little bit of rust in the tailgate, so he was just getting it like priced out to get that fixed. But just definitely worth a short. So watch out for that. And then we had a customer of mine, an old customer of mine, a lady. She had a '64 F100, and she swapped it out for a '56 Plymouth Suburban wagon.
Nice.
And it's a cool old kind of, not really a rat rod, but it's not quite sure what category it fits into. It's like matte, light pastel green.
That has like a checker cab sort of head to it, right?
A little bit, yeah. They're a little tall.
That's what I think of with those cars. The
Right.
50s Plymouths. I always pictured it like it's like a very checker cabish.
Right. But, I was kind of expecting it to have a flathead 6 in it, but it's got a V8.
Polyhead
V8. Yeah, I'm not sure what capacity, what size. I don't know. I haven't sort of delved into that yet. But that's just doesn't want to run, so it arrived on a tow truck. So watch out for that one. That's we'll be doing some videos on that, just because they've lowered it about 3 or 4 inches, and put some nice wheels on it. And I would have, when she said what she'd swapped it for, I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Again, that'll be a bit of a non-event, but it's actually really cool. They've done quite nice upholstery in it, and it's not fancy by any means, but it just has a
good driver.
Yeah, good driver.
That's my
and it's an Arizona car, so it's not rusty.
That's my favorite kind of car. I guess maybe I'm jaded. I don't know, just because you walk past hot rods and race cars and stuff like that, and I just see like that Falcon van.
The van,
at the shop. I love that thing.
They get so many comments. We've actually just got it running again today. We finally got the correct radiator for it, and
we should take that up for a ride.
Yeah.
We need to take that for a ride.
Yeah, I mean, it's only the little 144, a little 90 horsepower.
That's okay.
6-cylinder, but yeah. But I need some guidance from the viewers as to where to pick up a Barra 6 for it, the Australian Falcon 6-cylinder.
Okay, guys, he's looking for a Barra 6.
So that's the Australian Ford, 20 cam, 4 valve per cylinder, all that. They're like a trick little engine, not little, but yeah.
Los Cadaver, Uncle Tony, I know you hate car flippers. Not necessarily. I hate thieves. Car flippers is fine. There's nothing wrong with flipping a car, buying a car, poofing it up a little bit and then flipping it for a profit. There's nothing wrong with that. I've done it 1,000 times. It's when people, they take a turd and poof it and do things like we show when we go over to Kiwis and it's
like that white Mustang.
Right.
Just dangerous. When they do dangerous shit, and just hide like dangerous flaws, then you're messing with people's. It sounds a bit dramatic, messing with people's lives, but And that white Mustang didn't mess with his life, but it certainly, it's Dave made a good profit and he's taken a hard hit. And like good businesses when both parties leave happy.
Right.
You get a decent car and he gets a decent price.
It's a hard thing to do in this industry.
Yeah,
where both parties are happy.
Yeah, it is. But you at least try.
It's not like when you go into
trying to fuck somebody.
It's like when you go into a bakery and you buy some like bread or some donuts, and it's like everybody's happy. Look, I'm happy I got my donuts. They're happy they sold their donuts, and everybody's good.
Yeah.
It's the car industry is not like that.
Well,
a lot of times
have
an adversarial relationship with the customer.
Mm.
They want everything for free. You want to charge everything,
right?
Because your time is limited on Earth, and so you got to make as much money in it as possible, and it's just hard to make everybody happy with it. It's a bitch.
Somebody asked about Kiwi. I'm curious what Uncle Tony thought about your visit back home and your video about Valiants and Holdens.
I saw that. It's cool. See, there's a lot of these cars I'm totally unfamiliar with. The one that he was showing.
I just got told off for swearing by my wife.
What happened? Did you?
My wife's watching, and I did. What
happened? Did you?
Yes, she's watching the live feed. Hello, darling. How you doing? Yeah, she told me not to swear.
Okay.
We'll have to stop.
I'll make them eat a bar of soap as soon as we're done. Yeah. Oh, it's hot in here.
So yeah, the Valiants you would never have seen before. Well, probably none of them really, the Holdens and all that.
Yeah, we were deprived in this country. Oh, I mean, we had a lot of really cool stuff, but we were deprived of those one-off models that you guys had, Australia and New Zealand, and the ones that they had in South America. A lot of Mexican cars were just like, and you think it's just right over the border. You'd say, well, there has to be some migration of these cars, north, but no, it just never happened. Let's see. John M says, hello, Mrs. Kiwi. Everyone say hi. Everyone say hi.
There you go.
French onion. Cabral looks like roadkill. How is Brian doing? Has everybody seen Brian? Danny K, how do you take your coffee? It's just the standard 7-Eleven, regular roast, and I used what the hell is it? It's really synthetic stuff that'll kill you. Caramel macchiato. It's Sunny Delight, something like that. I don't even know what the hell it's called, but it's caramel macchiato stuff. And I threw it in there, and that's what I'm drinking.
Tavo Garage. What kind of ute have you got, mate?
Who? What?
Tavo.
Oh, Tavo, what's happening?
He's saying he thinks you'd like his ute. There's a parts getter.
See, we didn't get any utes here,
Not much.
We talked about that. We got the Ranchero and the El Camino, but that was it.
Yeah. That little billionaires. Hi, Uncle Kiwi. Hey, man. We understand.
I gotta get a towel. My eyes are running for some reason.
Oh, it's just me now, guys. Tony may be back. He may not be. Who knows?
There you go.
VG Valiant Ute. Cool. 243, 245. 3 on the tree. That's got to be a pretty rare truck these days, I'm sure.
Let's see. It's hot in here. Yes, it's really hot in here. Right? What is it? About 600 degrees, 700 degrees? You can make a grilled cheese right here.
It is a bit warm.
Zero's here. We can all relax. Zero's made it into the chat.
Hey, Zero. Now, Rebecca M. I sent a photo of to Uncle Tony of your... Scrolled up. The XB Coupe. I used to have an XB panel van once upon a time. Ex-wife Fairmont wagon, Commodore SLE, and your VJ charger. Well, now that's a nice little mix.
You're talking totally Greek to me. I can't even picture what these things look like. This is what a non-con, like what I'm hearing when you say this is when a non-con person, like, if I say, oh, it's a 446 pack, 812 car, they're hearing the same exact thing.
Right. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, maybe we should do a video on, some of these odd Australian cars that.
Scar R1. Have you ever ridden an R1?
No.
It's the scariest motorcycle I ever rode.
Yeah, that's why I haven't ridden it.
It wasn't the fastest motorcycle. It wasn't the most unpredictable motorcycle, but it was so weird because it's small. And when you get into like full tuck and you're going for it, your head is over the front of the bike and you can't see any motorcycle. So it's just your head going down the road like this. Very weird feeling. I didn't like the R1. He says, have we ever watched, Kiwi and Tony, have you ever watched the, oh, wow.
Boss and Uncle Kiwi.
I'm sorry, I lost your question, and we have like, okay, I gotta move forward here. Look, type that again, man. Danny K, thank you. Your next coffee is on me, even if it's got fake caramel macchiato in it. Dude, it's the most synthetic stuff in the world. I wouldn't dare like pour it on anything I cared about. There's just it's bad.
But it'll last for you.
It will. Oh, there it is. Scar 01. Have you ever watched the first Fast and Furious movie? Dude, I tried to watch it, man. I tried to watch it. I hung in there for maybe like 10 minutes, 12 minutes like that, and I just couldn't go any further.
Yeah, I'm the same actually. I've never it's just never that Balkan never caught me, that Fast and Furious. It's just silliness. But maybe I'm just old and grumpy. Could be.
You are old. You're older than me, right?
Just a little bit.
You're 61?
61, yeah.
Yeah, I'm 61 too.
Oh.
Yeah. Fred Schmidt, there was a biker movie called Stone, full of KZ1000s. They were fun bikes. Let's see. Paul Cavazola, what's happening? It's Zero saying he's seen the first couple. They somehow turned into Team America. How did that happen? I don't know. I was in an Indian restaurant. You like Indian food?
Yeah.
I was in an Indian restaurant. Why don't you come out for lunch like tomorrow? We got a good Indian buffet.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm eating there, and they're showing us film. These Indians, man, they make weird, crazy films, like where everybody just starts dancing and shit. It's like like it's like an Elvis movie, the old Elvis movies.
Yeah.
Right. And everybody just starts singing and dancing and shit.
Yep.
And they were in this movie. They were dropping muscle cars, like all different. Like when I say muscle cars, I mean like an IROC Z and like a Supra and shit like that out of airplanes with parachutes, and the guys were driving them with the, and then they land on the ground, and then it was just Indians, and then they sang, and they started singing. You know what I'm saying?
Sounds pretty wild.
And you wonder, is it the food that I'm eating that's causing this reaction, or am I actually seeing this on the screen?
I think it might be what you're smoking, but hey. Lord Burns, old Polish motorcycle was a Balkan 250cc. He had one. Never heard of that.
That sounds like something only runs about 5% of the time. Kiwi, need to hook Uncle Tony up with a 265 Hemi. Well, he's looking for a Barra 6. So anybody who comes across one.
Yeah, look, if I had a 265 Hemi like that I could put my hands on, I'd definitely have it over here. But yeah, again, like I think they're getting thin on the ground back in Australia and New Zealand, so like they're just non-existent here.
Bono Carnage, thank you for the super chat. Good day from West Aussie, boys. We just pulled a Holden HG Broham from the Outback. Does Kiwi have any old Holden stories?
Old Holden stories. I had an old Holden Tirana once.
Yeah.
Yeah, with a 1.9 litre 4-cylinder auto that was so slow it couldn't get out of its own way. Not Holden's proudest moment. And the doors just when you shut the doors, like any of the 4 doors, like it just rained rust.
Nice.
Yeah.
Was it a Broham?
No, it was a Tirana. The Broham is that's like a top of the line. It's like the Cadillac version, the Holden's version of a Cadillac in a way almost. The Broham was like had slightly different roof, more luxurious, had a small back window.
Yeah, the little opera windows.
Yeah, and like it was they were a nice car.
Rocky Myers, Tony, do you know of a Pontiac guy in Brooklyn? I think it's called Nunzi Romano. He's still out there drag racing and early four-cylinder Tempest running 11s in the quarters. I haven't seen Nunzi since I did high performance Pontiac in like 1985 or 1986. But yes, I knew Nunzi. Jason Fish telling me, did you get a good cackle from the new DD video? You didn't see the short that I posted.
I saw the short. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Now, here's the Alan TT over in the UK. They have the Vauxhall VXR8, which is based on the Holden. So that's like England's version of the Pontiac GDO here.
Okay.
So yeah, family car that went like a scolded cat. That's a pretty good description of it. Yeah.
Let's see. Kiwi, are you an AC/DC fan? You sound like Angus Young. Go ahead, do a little.
You know, you don't want to do. I'm much better at bodywork than singing. I can tell you that much.
It doesn't matter. These people don't care. They just want to see you do some Angus Young.
No. John M. Broham equals padding on the seats. Okay. Yep. That's yeah.
Usually they had like I am always picturing like a Broham is having like those carriage things on the C pillars and
right.
Padded.
It's a little bit like that. Yeah. They usually had vinyl tops and they had a padding under them.
Yeah.
So they were more plush.
Yeah.
Rebecca M.
Because you want your roof to be nice and cushy.
Well, yeah, when you tip over, yeah, it's a softer landing. Yeah. Rebecca, I have a mate who sent a container of barrels to the US. I'll get some info and send. Yeah, please do, man. I did find a company here, but they didn't have any lift out. What I'm really looking for is a complete unit together, motor, trans, shifter, accelerator pedal, like the whole thing together. So I'm just not familiar enough with them to start, getting an engine out of a 2000 and a transmission out of a 2004 or whatever it might be and try and make them all work. That just seems like too much work. Danny, Kiwi is a New Zealander, not an Aussie. That's very right. You're absolutely right. Don't get the two mixed up. New Zealanders get ornery when they're called Aussies. You kind of get used to it. And honestly, the Aussies aren't too bad. Really, at the end of the day, the only thing wrong with Australia is that it's above sea level.
Oh, that's terrible, man. Oh, God. Now I'm going to get all this Aussie hate.
No, I am
you want to drown the kangaroos
and the...
I am
kidding. But yeah, that's the kind of
dingoes.
joke. That's the kind of jokes that go, across the sea between Australia and New Zealand.
Do you have dingoes?
No.
That's an Australian thing.
That's just Australian.
Okay. What is a dingo?
It's like a wild dog.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Olive, what's happening? Let's see. Winston Angus was a terrible singer, an absolute threat with a Gibson SG. Do you play the electric guitar, don't you?
No, I
really?
No, I'm like zero musical.
See, I've had you figured for really.
No.
Okay.
My daughter, however, can sing. She's really good. That's her career direction.
I've never met your daughter. Is there a reason for that?
You're old and lecherous with that. That's a good reason. No, she's
too nice. She's normal, and you don't want her crossing paths with.
We see her at the shop like once every 6 months. That's not the place to hang out,
Can I have bow slap?
A dingo stole my Hemi Challenger. Sold it for $1 million. That's a long story. But there's a very famous lady that claimed a dingo stole her baby. Zaria Chamberlain. Any of the Kiwi Aussies that are watching will know what I'm talking about. But for the rest of you, that's going to be a complete mystery. Like, what the hell are they talking about?
So, have you been paying attention to this Black Ghost thing?
A little bit, yes. I watched the second part. I watched like a minute of the first one and got distracted.
You didn't watch the whole video?
No. But I did watch all of the second one at lunchtime today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you make of the whole thing?
Yeah, I think I missed a little bit too much to kind of comment.
You haven't been paying attention.
I need to watch the first one.
Yeah, we'll catch up with it next week.
There you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, people are very quick to jump onto that racist carry on. and that's just bullshit.
C. Roma, it's my friend Charlie. Hey, Tony, hey Kiwi, the shirts you're both wearing rock.
No,
I'm
like
wearing
that?
my official DD
See,
Speed
that's
Shop shirt.
6-pack. See, everyone's supposed to think that that's like 6-pack Hemi.
Okay.
My wife made me wear this one
Why?
because she wants me to have a 6-pack, but coming soon.
I guess she's accustomed to crushing disappointments.
Yeah, she married me. Like, what are you gonna do?
Lloyd Walker, thank you for the super chat. Yo, Tony, thanks for calling out the Black Hoax. Can attest that my 68 340 dog could run and hide from it. Yeah.
John M, any cougar news? Not honestly since that last video. I've hardly had a chance to touch it. We've been working on a couple of other things, but we're getting back to it. Where everyone's just it's like different cars in the shop. You know, we get a couple of days on them, and then we got to do a couple of days on another one, and a couple of days on another one. And, you know, next thing a week or so is gone by real quick.
Steve writes, thank you, sir. Tony, I loved your 4.0 versus slant teardown video. Would you do more? There's always stuff like that. You know, as it comes along, we do them. Would you tear down a 2JZ and give your thoughts? I would love to. I hear so much about these engines. I know they're extremely capable, but I've never, other than just opening the hood and saying, oh, look, it's a 2JZ. That's as far as I've ever gone with it. I've never been under the valve cover or any oil pan. So, yeah, if I had the opportunity to tear one down, I would love to. But I don't have one. You know.
Lost Cadaver, similar shirt. 6-pack, some assembly required. Yeah, that's me. Someone said, what sort of a 6-pack, 340 or a 440? Well, clearly, I'm a 440 guy.
Speaking of which, what's going on with your 446 pack?
Gathering dust.
Yeah.
Gathering dust. Short answer. You know, I get a lot of questions in the comments on my videos, like what's happening with the Barracuda, and people are very keen to see it. But I mean, I've just got to try and get it in the door.
You're a busy guy. Why don't you bring it here and just work on it here? I'll make some room for you.
It's not so much the space; it's just actually the time.
Right.
You know, there's room in the shop. We can wheel it in and wheel it out. It's really not so much the space; it's just the actual time. When you've got, you know, a bunch of customers like chomp, and I don't blame them. They're chomping at the bit to get their car done. You know, if they rock up and you're working on your own toys, they're like, "What are you doing?" But I'm going to get to it. I am going to get to
it. Stanley Ankowitz, building a 318 on the cheap. Any thoughts on the Summit knockoff carburetor? Yes, they're really good. They're really good. I was surprised by that. I says, well, because what is it? It's a knockoff of the old Ford. What is it? A 4100?
Yeah.
Right. So I ended up with one, and we had that Dart GT, and we ran. I had a 750 Holly, I had an 800 Edelbrock, and a 750 Summit carburetor, and we ran them all. And the Summit carburetor was by far the most responsive out of the bunch, and we ran it. We had that G-Tech, and I don't remember what the numbers were, but the Summit carburetor was like 0.2 quicker than the others also. So yeah, you know, if you had asked me before I actually had my hands on one, I would be like, why would you waste your time? But no, yeah, it's a good carburetor. Go for it.
Kiwis, classics, and condominiums.
VW Manx man from Manx. Does Kiwi know any jokes? Make me laugh, Kiwi.
I have to think on that one for a minute. Yeah, something that we can broadcast anyway.
Need Mel says I'm going to need a lesbian midwife to deliver my food baby tomorrow morning. Okay, that's really weird. I didn't read that. Let's go right past that. While we're going past that and forgetting that, I have no idea what he's talking about. Remember, it's very important to your family's safety, security, and survival to subscribe to Kiwi's Classics and Customs. And you're not shampooing rugs anymore.
No, we wore the machine out.
Yeah, he was doing.
Yeah.
She was shampooing rugs for every 10th subscriber.
See,
Now
I'd actually have time to get to the Barracuda if I wasn't doing that.
well, you have to make these people happy for them to
Well,
go.
yeah.
You know, they're going to sub to your channel. You got to give them that little extra bonus. You know, every 50th subscriber now, Kiwi comes to your house and does acupuncture. So if you've got, let's say you've got like arthritis, you've got kidney problems, you're schizophrenic, whatever it happens to be, Kiwi, he's an acupuncture artist, is what he is. I've never seen anything like that in my life. And the 50th sub, he will come to your house and perform his acupuncture miracles on you and or your family if necessary. Not dogs though. He's not qualified to. He's not a vet. You know what I'm saying? He's not a vet.
No. No, I just missed it. Someone was asking about the Mitsubishi. That's that's parked right beside the Barracuda. So working this year on trying to get the workload within the shop, like the paying customers, just to scale that back a little bit. It sounded pleasant, didn't it?
Yeah.
Horde of angry bees.
So T-Bird wants to know. So what happens to us old subs of Kiwis? Well, if you're an original, if you're an OG Kiwi sub, you can always send Kiwi pictures of your children, and he will judge them, which is an important thing. Why?
Never a dull moment. I know that. Kiwi doesn't like smokers smoking in his shop. Lost cadaver. There you go. So I'm stuck dealing with Bondo Joe.
Who's Bondo Joe?
I'm not sure. That's not your guy doing the bodywork on the Charger.
No, that's Bodyman Ron.
Bodyman Ron. Yeah.
Amy, what's happening? Well, what have you missed? Please, what haven't you missed, bro? What haven't you missed? Let's see. Roger Wilson, any thoughts on high performance with hydrogen fuel? You're a smart guy.
Not that smart.
Not that smart.
Not that. No, honestly, I really haven't kept up with the ins and outs of that hydrogen idea. It kind of raises its head every 5 years. Someone's going to do it, and it doesn't seem to happen.
I don't know the details, but it appears to me it be a bitch to make horsepower with it. You know, like propane, like a vapor system, right? I think hydrogen falls into that same category where you just can't make horsepower with it because there's no duration of burn. Anything that goes into the combustion chamber is just a gas, right? Not a liquid or an atomized liquid. Anything that goes in the combustion chamber is just a gas, is used up instantly, just like that. And the piston only has that shove for a couple of degrees of crankshaft rotation. So the whole point of making power is to have atomized fuel in the combustion chamber. You want vaporized fuel as like the ignition point, so the spark plug can light the vaporized fuel easily, and then the vaporized fuel then lights the atomized fuel, and the atomized fuel, the fire jumps from droplet to droplet, and it takes time, and that time is happening as the piston is going down. So you get more crankshaft degrees of rotation under power with the liquid fuel. So hydrogen and power, and hydrogen is the same thing with any of these other gaseous fuels. Poof, done. So you don't get that follow through power that you do with gasoline.
You don't get the torque.
Right, no, it's work.
I guess that's why with diesel you get so much torque with diesel.
Right,
slow burning.
Right, exactly.
You get a good push the whole stroke.
Right, that's where all the torque is coming from.
Right.
Mike Jones said, "I hope you're sending a big. I told you so. Go look at the short that I did."
Oh, Glenn.
Oh, Zero just put the. There you go. There's the link.
Channel. Yep, that's me. Where did that? Glenn Nicholson. I've heard of Blimpie subs, but never Kiwi subs. Do they use dingo meat? Now, dingo meat's a bit chewy, but.
Oh, you can't eat a dog.
Exactly. What do I push to get it rolling again?
That's it.
Oh, it's going? Okay.
Yeah.
It's Zero Kiwi cabinet. Kiwi's cabinets. Good Lord. You really started something with that, didn't you?
Let's see. Chris Murray, Tony, you can unpack the 20-foot tow strap now and gift him your emergency car. Yeah. He came to his senses. He texted on my phone. He texted me before. Oh, you only my phone.
What?
Yeah. So For the record, yeah, you were right. So,
What's that about? That DD?
DD,
So he's
this-
given up on the fuel
done.
injection?
He's done with the fuel injection. They've been pulling their hair out. He's got friends on it. He's got Holly tech support is trying to help him. And it's just no matter what they do, they can't get this thing to run for more than like a couple of minutes without something happening with it.
Yeah. Lloyd Walker, why aren't the New Zealand football team allowed to own a dog? Because they can't hold on to a lead. Ooh.
That's a sports ball joke. I don't get that.
He's got a point. With the big push to get rid of fossil fuels, what advice does Kiwi have for his gearheads and classics? Well, I don't think fossil fuels are going away anytime soon. There's just too much. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna the balance, the scales are gonna change. I think over time, but there's only as batteries at the moment. The technology within batteries at the moment are just not enough to to replace fossil fuels. I mean, I know one thing I'll never do, and that's get in a battery-powered airliner to fly back to.
Oh, gee, could you imagine?
Yeah, well, like it'd be a jumbo 747 that seats 3 people because that's all the weight of the weight of the batteries, and then it'd go down somewhere over the Pacific. It's not going to work. But I think the two forms of energy, are going to work hand in hand. So I don't think we have to panic about our classic cars just yet. I really don't. It'll be interesting to see whether gas gets more expensive or it gets a bit cheaper if demand for gasoline drops.
Well, it is. Demand is dropping.
Yeah.
You've got demand destruction bringing the price down, but you've got there's so many things happening in the world economically.
Yeah. So hang on to your classics. Don't bail out of them just yet. I mean, at the end of the day, even if gas, does go up a lot, most of us don't drive our classics that much. So if it costs you $100 to take your Challenger out for a drive on a Sunday afternoon, it costs $100. Like $100 doesn't go far on anything. Like go out for a meal.
Yeah, but see, I use my classics every day. A lot of our viewers use them every day as everyday transportation. So it's like it's hard. But I understand what you're saying. If you've got the car, right? Like the garage clean that comes out for special occasions and stuff, then you say, well, sure, I'll drop $100 to spend a day with the car. But when you're coming from the other side of the fence and it's like I'm going to drive that all the time, right? Drive that all the time. That's like, phew, it can get crazy.
Yeah, true. I mean, there's not going to be a perfect answer for everyone, but yeah.
Code improvements. Tony, there's a guy with a junkyard LS running 50% nitro with larger fuel injectors, stock everything. Will this survive long? At some point, I'm going to do a video on the junior fuel class. This was actually not the junior fuel today, right? Or that you've known since since the 70s, but a class called junior fuel that was run as a California circuit deal in the late 1960s, the mid to late 1960s. That's all around 71 or 72, and these were limited to 305 cubic inch production engines, right? No modifications. And I'm going to do at some point. I'm going to do a video on those engines and their specifics because they ran over 200 miles an hour, 305 cubic inches, and they ran over 200 miles an hour all the time with essentially stock engines. So the thing with this, the guy that's running 50% nitro, so 50% is a tuning. There's a lot to this. I can't just explain this in one quick shot. There's 0 to 10% nitro, which just tickles the alcohol, right? And you pick up a gain, right? There'll be a gain there for sure. And then there's 70 to 100% nitro, and that's where the real power is. There's that middle ground, right, between, let's say, 10, 12, maybe 15%, and like 75%. There's middle ground where it's not an alcohol motor and it's not a nitro motor, and it's not going to be happy. It'll beat itself up. because the tune is weird. Okay. But I mean, I wish him luck with it. I wish him luck with it. But if he's going to run 50%, he's better off going to 80%, running it really super fat, and see what goes from there. And the other thing too is that he's running. If he's running EFI on that thing, he's running an electronic nozzle on there. It will not work under load. Period. The end. You cannot put enough fuel volume through with nitro through an electronic fuel injector, an automotive, regular standard automotive electronic fuel injector, for that thing to live. It will not happen. It'll detonate itself like crazy. It'll run fine on an engine stand. It'll run fine, like, it'll sound great. It'll cackle good. You hit the throttle and go whap, right? That'll all be good. But as soon as you put the suds to that thing, if you don't have the volume instantly there, as soon as the load is applied, the motor's toast. The piston will destroy itself on the very first hit, guaranteed.
Interesting stuff.
Yeah.
So Rebecca's asking about LPG in the USA. Is it? No, it's not used in cars here. I think there's a couple of hot rods that have played around with propane fuel, just to be something different.
They run forklifts and stuff.
Yeah, they'll run forklifts on propane.
Yeah.
But like 30, 40 pound bottles of propane.
Right. Right. But they're lazy.
Just messing around in the building.
Right.
But not on cars. Not like it was. Like I know they were running LPG taxis and stuff like that, which is just liquid petroleum gas, propane. That was very big in Australia and New Zealand for a while, and then it just kind of fell away. And I don't think it ever took off here. But petrol was never as expensive enough here to justify the install of a propane system.
Uh-oh. There we go. Okay. Let's see. The vape, I run my race car on 100% nitroglycerin. Yeah, you probably could if you put enough volume in it. Let's see.
Beer Rose is in the house.
Oh, what's happening, man? Is he one of your regulars?
Yeah.
Heroes? Yeah.
Yep.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Let's see. Unfinished project. I had an Aerostar that used to be government fleet. It was set up for propane. How did it run?
Okay. Well, maybe speaking out of school. Like Chris Rolfe is saying 70s and 80s Chevy pickups came factory option for LPG. I did not know that. So there you go.
That rings a bell. I can't remember actually seeing one, but I think I remember seeing that advertised or.
Yeah. So Wayne, around here we have buses and trash trucks running on CNG. And where are you, Wayne? Is that the stateside? We used to nickname CNG completely no-go gas because it was didn't have any ass. Just it didn't accelerate.
Hanson's Universe. Tony, greetings from another Tony in the Arctic. So are you in Antarctica? Have you found the pyramids and the hole and all of that stuff? Who was it? Captain Bird. He's about right.
Nope.
Really,
Captain Bird? No.
Yeah.
What's that? Who's that?
Oh man, they sent in 1947. They sent this expedition. The government sent an expedition to Antarctica, and there was this guy Admiral Byrd was the one who led this thing.
Mm-hmm.
So he was flying in, right? It was like they brought this whole fleet up there, and he flew into like the interior of Antarctica, and he found this giant hole that was all green and stuff, and he flew like into it. And he saw like crazy animals, like dinosaur type of things, and seriously, right? And he was actually, the story goes, this is from his diary, that he was greeted by a UFO. Okay, they were Germans. They landed. Hey, listen, I don't know if this stuff is true or not. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
They landed. They explained that this was a off limits territory. They go back, get you guys out of here, or we're wiping you out. So he turned around, and the whole fleet, right back out of there. And like, there's no like, you can't make that part of it up. They got there, they stayed for like a day, and then like, we're out of here.
Really?
And they beat tracks back to.
Hadn't heard about that.
Yeah, Admiral Byrd. Anybody else hear about that one? I know I'm leaving details out of it.
Kiwi, would you allow someone to smoke in your shop if it was work related, i.e., detecting vacuum leaks? Well, you can buy canned smoke.
Why, when you can make your own? It's so easy. Watch. Right?
That's a funny story. I actually sent my wife, and like, they use canned smoke in HVAC.
Yeah.
And I was doing that for a little while when I first got here to the States. And I actually sent my wife in to get a can of canned smoke. And it took a bit of convincing her to get her going. She thought, I mean, I really don't understand why, but she thought we were taking the piss out of it.
I would think that too, because I've never heard of canned smoke.
You can actually buy canned smoke.
I got your can of smoke right here. You know?
So, but she did go in and she did get it, but she was quite surprised that we weren't messing with it.
So just to remind everybody, this Monday coming up, we're facing off against Dr. Art. Dr. Art has his highfalutin, futuristic electric go-kart, and we're taking him on head-to-head, 300-foot drags with one of our mini bikes, the one that didn't try to kill him. So
that was only because he didn't ride it, right?
He didn't ride it. No, you had to see it. It was the funniest thing in the world. Twice he backflipped this thing. So yeah, and we're racing for a beef tenderloin, a beautiful beef tenderloin, a very expensive hunk of meat. And Kiwi is supposed to be working the finish line, but he needs permission from Mommy, I believe. And we've got.
I'm going to see if I can get Mrs. Kiwi to come out.
Yeah, Mrs. Kiwi, come. We have meat, and we've never met. I've never met Mrs. Kiwi. Why do you keep Mrs. Kiwi away from me? What does he tell you about me?
It's your animal magnetism. She
may
not be able to resist.
She won't be able to, but that's besides the point. So yeah, and Erie Eric from the Gearhead Underground, he's going to be down here to start us. So that's going to be Monday. That's going to be that'll be a neat thing. I think we'll probably do some live from that also.
Dougster Wolverine Garage, Burt Munro. Yes, he's the he's the guy that movie, The World's Fastest Indian, is about, and he really is a legend. He was extremely clever man, and great movie. If you haven't seen it, you really should watch it. World's Fastest Indian. Kiwi clutches and carnivals. Thanks, Ari.
So we heard that Admiral Byrd made several trips to the North and South Poles. I thought it was just Antarctica. Oh, Hanson's Universe. Tony, what you were talking about regarding Antarctica was called Operation High Jump. That's it. Okay. I barely know about it. You know, I know that supposedly they found this. They've got a giant pyramid that they found, or a couple of different pyramids that they found there, and all kinds of crazy stuff. And there's a map. There's a map from like the 1400s or the 1300s that actually shows it. It's a detailed map of Antarctica, and there's no ice on it. So there's a lot of weirdness about all of that. Yes.
Stranger things have happened.
You look at me like I make this stuff up, but no, I find it on the internet, so it must be true.
To be fair, it must be true. To be fair, you do make a bit of stuff up.
When have I ever made anything up, Kiwi?
Like, when the hell have you ever seen me with a needle?
Does that mean you
just
can't?
In case you bought it, I don't do acupuncture.
Yet?
Yes.
You telling me with all of your skills that you can't learn acupuncture in a couple of days?
It's just whether I want to.
Don't you want the subs?
Well, I do want the subs, but I think we should probably use you as the crash test dummy.
So aside from
get some needles and just
aside from cars, what is the thing that you like to do?
Cars.
Okay, I mean, besides cars, there's got to be something else besides cars that you like. What is it?
I do like to travel. A bit.
Well, you could travel to the subs houses.
Yep.
So you see, there's a lot to this. Olive says Bird didn't actually say any of that. It's not there. No, well, Bird didn't say anything. They did turn around and get out of there way ahead of schedule, but it was evidently it was in his diary, and then after he died, his kid found the diary, and that's where all of this came from. Now, I'm not saying it's true or not. I do not know. I'm just telling you the story. It's like the Philadelphia experiment stuff. I don't know if it's true, you know. Eugenio Brianti, what's your opinion on the 70 Buick Grand Sport quicker than the Hemi Challenger? Do you,
What? Sorry, I was reading this.
which one?
Well, I just saw you just did a.
Hang on, Joe. Okay, I'll get to you in a second. Thank you, though.
What were we asking? What were you asking me?
The opinion: the 70 Buick Grand Sport, the 70 Buick GS455 quicker than the Hemi Challenger. Yes, absolutely, it would be.
That was a beast. The
Yeah.
Buick GS was like a serious bit of kit.
Well, about 35 years ago, that was the big thing, this big controversy, because there was a matchup between a 70, between a Grand Sport and a Hemi GTX that I think it was Car Review magazine did, Muscle Car Review. It wasn't called Muscle Car Review at the time, it was just called Car Review. And they did a shootout. They did a head-to-head with those two cars, and the Buick like spanked the Hemi, which was no surprise to me because I knew Buicks and I knew Hemis, and I was like, no, it's just stock for stock. There's no question about it. The Buick is going to run away and hide from this thing, and it did. So it made there was all kinds of controversy about that, and there were rematches, and they got a lot of mileage out of that, and it lasted for years.
Paul Pajoy, Kiwi, when you do an interior, do you put in the roof insulation? Most definitely, yeah. That's if you're going to spend a bit of money on insulation, do it on the roof. That's the hottest part of the car, man. You'd be surprised. You'd think a lot of the heat was coming from the engine bay, but the roof gets hot, man.
So, Joe K, Super Chat, thank you, sir.
Yes.
Ever used ARP motor mount bolts? I have not. They don't come with lock washers, flat washer only. Use Loctite also, where the lock washer is really required or not. Opinion?
The lock washers they help a lower grade bolt to not come loose. I believe with the ARPs, like you can, they'll have torque specs for the different size bolts they have, and if you torque them, they will not come loose. You don't have to have Loctite. Loctite doesn't hurt, but a correctly torqued ARP bolt will stay put.
My opinion on this is if it's a rubber mount, I would probably throw a lock washer on there. I'm sorry, did I say that? Did I say that? Opposite, I didn't mean that. If it's a rubber mount, I don't think you need a lock washer. If it's a solid mount, yes, absolutely, because they will vibrate loose.
Well, yeah, that's fair comment. That's actually a good point. I was thinking that the motor mount bolts were bolting the steel bracket of the motor mount to the block.
Yeah, but the rubber
still going through the rubber.
Yeah, but the rubber still acts as a damper to that whole assembly.
Oh yeah.
Like I have this problem right now with Plan Z, so I got solid mounts on there, and after the motor runs, if I buzz it a couple of times, it loosens the oil pan bolts on either side of the mounts, and it just go look into the car right now. There's a puddle because I was fucking with it. Excuse my French, Mrs. Kiwi. I was playing with it the other day. I revved the motor a few times after I built that little heat shield for it, and after I shut it off, I look and there's a puddle of oil under the engine, and it's every time I do it, every time I buzz it, it loosens the oil pan bolts.
Yeah, engines really don't like being solid mounted. I mean, that's race car only stuff. Don't ever do it on your street car.
Yeah, but a lot of people do. They use a solid mount, or they'll use like a urethane mount.
Yeah, which is close.
Which is close to a solid mount.
I'm not a big fan of urethane.
Neither am I.
The factory are reasonably smart. These people, the design departments that have got hundreds of people working for them, and they keep using rubber, and it's like, what do they know that the polyurethane people don't? Just the rubber takes a lot of harshness out of everything.
It does. And even on Bottle Rocket, I have a rubber mount. The mount's already broken. Broke the mount the very first time I got on the car, right? But I've got it chained.
Right.
And it's chained from the front of the block, not the side of the block. So this way, as torque is pulling up on it, it's not pulling on the side and distorting the side of the block.
Yep.
But I leave the rubber on there because it's like you want that little bit of cushion, that little bit of give.
Yeah, you really do. Like we do a lot of the 5 and 6 speed conversions, and I always try and use the factory rubber mount as much as I can. The kits always come with a big polyurethane mount, and it just makes them harsh. Like you're hanging onto the shifter as you're revving it out.
Right. And you
There's
feel the buzz.
harshness,
Yeah.
the buzz in the shifter.
I
You put
know
a rubber
exactly what
mount in
you're
there,
talking
and it goes away.
about. Mostly old parts. What's happening, man? Kiwi, knowing your preference for blue oval automobiles, what's your thoughts on the 351 Cleveland 4B?
Yeah, I'd prefer a Windsor. I'll be honest with you. I would rather have a Windsor.
All right, so mostly old parts. That's my friend Ron Ward.
Oh yeah.
Okay, now the guy that you have working for you now,
Yep.
Steve.
Yep.
He's interchangeable with Ron Ward. You could actually, I swear, listen to me, I'm telling you, right?
Mm-hmm.
I could just switch them out,
Right.
and you wouldn't know.
Wow.
You wouldn't know. They're exactly the same. Dude, like interchangeable people. I've never seen anything like it.
But yeah, they've some back-to-back testings been done on the Cleveland with the 4V and the 2V heads, and the 2V heads make more power. Possibly not at the very high end of the RPM range, but all the mid-range where you really want it, especially on a street car. The 2V heads are better, which is why they put the 2V heads, like the Cleveland heads, onto the 302,
okay,
which became the 302
right.
Boss.
Right.
But that was an 8,500 RPM engine.
Where were we? Zero saying footnote, Mopar Man footnote on Mothman in case ever, like never try to photograph one. It never ever worked. Why can't you photograph Mothman? Mostly, I mean, when I say you're interchangeable, I mean, I'm telling you, like, you guys are twins from different mothers. It's just crazy. Like, you're just interchangeable.
Yeah. Papillion cycles, Windsor block is lighter than a Cleveland. Exactly right. Yep. They're lighter, they're a little bit more compact. Yeah.
But not as strong. The weak link on the Windsor is the top of the saddle.
Right. Yeah, the blocks have been known to split. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's fair, but I mean that's at the high end of the realm of horsepower out of those things, isn't it? It's like 600 plus.
No. I've seen people. It's detonation. I've seen people split them at 400 horsepower.
Really?
Because once it starts detonating,
yeah,
you know what I mean. It's like the saddles just can't hold it. The bearing will hold it. The crank will hold it. The rod will hold it. The piston will hold it, but the block won't hold it. And frick.
Mostly old parts. Currently in the process of putting a 408 cubic inch Cleveland with 2V heads and a 72 Mustang fastback. That'd be a good engine. That'd be a nice engine.
This is a good question from Tom. What would you guys do to fix the homeless drug users in America?
Oh, wow, that's getting deep.
Well, that's a good question.
Well, yeah,
it's a little off topic, but it's a good question.
Sure. Yeah, that's a long answer though, too, isn't it?
I have an answer.
Wow, I really don't have an answer for that. But
really?
I'll be interested to hear yours.
We cut ourselves off from the rest of the world entirely. We build a barrier around the country. Nothing comes in, nothing leaves.
Right.
So now no drugs are coming in, and we have no choice but to redo everything, get all of our industry, all of our mining, all of our steel, and everything back up and running.
Right.
To become completely self-sufficient again. At which point, everybody has a job, everybody has a purpose, and the purpose keeps you off of drugs, generally speaking.
That's a pretty good answer.
Right?
That's a pretty good answer. Yeah. You've obviously thought about that a little bit.
I think about everything, bro. Forget
That's
about
a pretty
it.
good answer. Yeah, America is kind of, and I say this with all due respect to the Americans around me, is you've kind of sold out a little bit. There's so much import. Well, I'm trying to be polite.
No, don't be polite. We're the ultimate piece of shit debtor nation that has ever existed, and our society has deteriorated to just, it's embarrassing and disgusting.
It's we just rely on China way too much.
We rely on everything.
Well, yeah. You've kind of sold out industry, and so yeah, it's probably not surprising we've got the homeless and drug issues that we do.
But, yeah, but if there's no purpose,
so how do you wean America off all that imported product?
It's tough love. My opinion, like I said, my idea is that hey, Uncle Tony's going to be the next president, and my first order of business is to construct a barrier around the entire continent. Nothing, and I mean zero. Nobody comes in, nothing comes in, zero, nobody leaves. We become prison America, and we don't get out of that prison until we've reformed ourselves.
It's becoming clear to me that we need to keep you and Trump apart.
I'm just saying.
Because he's already halfway there with the wall, right? Now it just needs a bit of encouragement from Uncle Tony, and it'll happen. Anyway, that's enough deep and meaningful politics. We're supposed to be telling lies and talking about cars.
Olive says, give people homes, though, then they may not be looking for drugs. Why? You're just giving them a comfortable place to do drugs. The things that keeps them off drugs is a purpose. And when you have a debtor nation and a fake currency and no manufacturing, no nothing, no mission, well, then the vast majority of the population has no purpose other than to either shuffle papers or flip burgers or whatever the hell it is. And without a purpose, you don't have any reason to not stay off of drugs. I don't want to keep talking about this.
UG is president, 2 Mopars in every garage. There's a campaign slogan for you, isn't
it? Well, Rod says, Tony DeFeo stars is Uncle Pilskin in the Warner Brothers new hit movie Escape from Nashville.
Oh, that's funny. The Highlander, do you feel that people in our hobby are pricing us out of the hobby? For example, people asking $600,000 for a used Fox T5. They really going for that much?
So there are certain cars that, look, you're always going to have people with more money than common sense and more money than the next guy, right?
Yeah.
There's no place in the hot rod rule book that says you have to work with these cars that are in demand from all these other people. Like right now, let's just say you wanted to build a hot rod, you want to build something that was just unique, individual, it's yours, it's a race car, or it's a cruiser, or it's whatever it happens to be. There are hundreds of thousands of cars from, the eras that we like.
Yeah.
The 70s, 80s, either the 60s, the 50s, all over the country, all over the world, and nobody wants to mess with them. Everybody wants to fight over these high-end cars.
The ones they can't have.
The ones they can't have.
Yeah.
So
that's human nature, though. I mean, the rarer it is, the more we want
it. See, I'm the exact opposite. The rarer something is, the less I want.
I mean, I'm talking very general terms.
Yeah, right.
There's always an exception to the rule.
I don't want to be a caretaker.
No.
You know what I'm saying? When you have something that's very rare and something that's very valuable, it owns you. You know what I'm saying? You have to, it gets dirty, and it's like, oh my God, a bird shit on my poop. Excuse me, Mrs. Kiwi. I keep cursing. A bird poops on the thing.
She's still watching. She may not be watching.
She's riveted to me. Yeah. So a bird poops on it, and it's panic time. You know what I mean? And who's got time for that? I don't have time for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thing where the hobby's going. The bar is getting raised like every year. You know what? If you want to go out and win, trophies in some of the bigger shows now, you really need to be spending $500,000. It just goes up every year. The level of craftsmanship in some of the builds is just insane.
The bar keeps going higher and higher and higher.
Yeah, and a lot of these cars really, like some of them are never even tagged for the road. They just go from trailer to show to trailer to show, and they're just actually an art piece of artwork.
I just went to the Good Guys.
I guess if they like that, if people enjoy that, then more power to them, and they've got the money. Like,
I don't take anything away from them. That's what they want.
Yeah.
If you can pay for it, if you want it, and you want to be that caretaker, more power to you. But as far as people bitching that other guys are doing this, driving the value of this up or value of that up, well, go get something that they're not after, and go have fun. Just, you know what I mean? Build something and enjoy it. Don't bitch about what other people are doing.
Mostly old parts. Kiwi, what car did you once own that you most regret selling? Probably the one that I regret selling the most would be the Falcon XB GS panel van. And that's it was a cool vehicle, but it's just worth a lot of money now. Like what 10 times what I sold it for, more. The one my favourite memories are of was a '66 Buick Electra, which I sold when I was, probably 20. And it was just a massive tank with a 425 nail head in it. And it was just a massive car, and it was, and that was a car that was not everyone's cup of tea because it was so big, and it was it wasn't fast by any means, but just a ton of memories in it,
Quap. Uncle T and Kiwi, what's your opinion on the Ford 4.6 modular motor?
Okay, that's changed of recent times. To be honest, I've been kind of brainwashed into what a lot of people say, that they're junk and they're this, and they fire spark plugs out, and they're just, they're no good. And then that black '67 Mustang Coupe that we built, that we put the 08 GT Mustang motor in, that just completely changed my view of them. Sure, they've got their issues, but so have most engines got their issues of some kind or another. They got a weak link. It doesn't matter what it is. But that 4.6 is a little screamer, and and I said it a couple of times in the video that it really punched well above its weight. And yeah, just in my mind now, they're just an underrated motor.
I'm of exactly the same opinion as you. Recently, I never really gave the motor any thought. I mean, I knew like for durability, for regular look what Cletus does to these things, right? So I know that for durability, they're stout, but I never really gave much regard to them as far as making power. And then I see Andy Wood's buddy with that LTD wagon, and he's got a dude, he's got an LTD station wagon with a nitrous 4.6. Okay. This thing is seriously. I can't say. I know how fast it is. I can't say how fast it is because it's a grudge car. Okay, but dude, it's fast. You got to watch this thing run. You got to listen to it run.
Right.
And it's essentially a stock 4.6.
Is that a 2-valve or a 3-valve?
That I don't know.
Okay.
That I don't know. But that car changed. I watched a couple of runs from that thing. They ran it up at the place where they do War in the Woods, Twin Rivers Dragway. It's the sketchiest drag strip in the world, right? And they made a couple of runs.
Like your favorite place.
It is. I can't wait to get out there. I'm going to run bottle rocket there. Yeah. So yeah, I watched this make a couple of passes, and I was like, Andy, what the hell is that thing? And he's like, well, it's just a 4.6. Oof. It's stout. It's really stout. So yeah, those engines will take it.
Rescued and Restored Garage. Hey, buddy, how you doing? You enjoyed the video of the Mustang? Well, that's good. Thank you.
And of course, you guys are. We always have new people cycling in and out. People hang out for about 10 minutes or so, and then they move on. So we've always got new people in here. So you guys need to go sub to Kiwi's channel. You're doing all sorts of crazy stuff now, right? Like futuristic things that have never been attempted before.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So absolutely get over there, and we'll talk about his upcoming special for new subs at the end of this. Yep, Zero just put the link. That's Saint Zero. Like he's like our patron. With him and Fubar and Harry, always looking out always putting up the links. Do you have merch yet?
No.
Why, man? Why?
Because I'm busy working on people's cars, and I'm a bit of just slightly a little bit of a procrastinator. And if Mrs. Kiwi's watching, she'll be cheering at this point.
Ron is asking me, any chance you'll ditch the plate system on Bottle Rocket and go with a fogger setup? No, I'll probably stack plates. There's so much untapped potential just with the plate that's on there right now. Like, there's a lot of untapped potential. So it would be a long way to go, but I would stack plates before I went with a fogger.
Elaine Benger, is it possible to do body work with a flux core welder? Well, that's a yes and no answer. He says yes, I say no.
Go look at Sledgehammer. That whole car, I built literally an entire car with a flux core welder. I know, I'm not saying much, am I? Okay. All right. No, you can't do
There's a
good.
reason it's called slag hammer.
Right.
Because there's a lot of slag
Yeah.
that needs hammering on.
Right. Okay. All right. You win. Yeah. No, you can't do nice body. You can't do nice body work. You can do some body work.
You can do it with a flux core welder, but honestly, spend the little bit extra and just get an Eastwood 130, and you'll be good to go. Get yourself a bottle of gas, and you won't look back. The flux core has its uses, but in repairing rust or doing sheet metal replacement with a flux core is just not the way to go. Glenn Nickerson, is the Kiwi you use Kiwi?
Real Kiwi,
a real Kiwi or a fake Kiwi? No, it's definitely a fake. There's a story behind that one. That little Kiwi, little Kev, who I forgot today.
Yeah. Good, because he's always staring me down.
Yeah. It's hard to stare him down because he doesn't blink ever.
It's a spiritual thing. Yeah. I don't even have to be looking at him. I know he's looking right through me.
My boy, when he was in high school, last year at high school, had to make something that represented some part of their studies. So he decided to make a Kiwi, because he was from New Zealand and it was kind of relative. And like parents do, I kind of said, I'll help you, and ended up taking it over. And he just sat back and watched and played video games while I made his school project for him. And he got 100 for it. So I was pretty happy about that, because that's the first 100 I ever got at school. Ever. And it wasn't even it didn't even have my name on it. So, but I'll take it. It was 100. I got 100 in high school, so I'm good.
I know. Did I ever tell you about the Pinewood Derby car I built?
No.
Well, I'm gonna save it. I'm not gonna tell you now. I'll save it. It's a long story, and but what you just said just reminded me of that.
Yeah. Elaine, we're across the ditch, Kiwi High from down under. Hey.
Happy on Cycle says, my power animal could be the owl. Don't blink. No, I used to identify with the honey badger, and now it's more like the poodle. Yeah, I'm not really a power animal person.
Eugenio Brianti, what happened to Kim Fixes Things? I think I know who he's talking about. Is that English lady that worked on motorbikes and always wore bib overalls?
No,
and nothing else.
No, Kim is with Buff Dog Campo. They live up in Clarksville.
No, I'm thinking of someone else.
I haven't seen Kim in I don't know, probably about 3 or 4 months.
Would Derby customizing in Speed Shop?
Let's see.
Short wheelbase versus long wheelbase cars in drag racing. Is there an advantage? Over to you, Tony.
Short wheelbase cars tend to be more violent. There's a happy zone. There's a happy zone, and it all depends on the type of car. So every car is a little bit different. So like a long wheelbase car, what's a long wheelbase top fuel dragster or a short wheelbase top fuel dragster? So that's like, you can't answer that one question. The world of drag racing has so many different, very specific combinations, and they would all work best with different wheelbases. I can't even. I'll do something on that. That's an interesting video.
So Crash a lot. Yes, we did hear about DD putting carbs on his Nomad.
Yes, surprise, unbelievable. I cannot believe anybody could have the kind of problems that where you can't figure out how to get a simple Holly sniper. What?
I won't mess with them. No. The sniper is. Gosh, I hope no one from Holly's watching, but.
Well, go ahead and say it, because I'm going to do a video on how he's getting jerked around with this whole thing.
The sniper is, you get what you pay for.
Uh-huh.
You get what you pay for. It's not a terribly sophisticated system. The Holly Terminator is a much better product.
Okay.
Go figure, it's 3 times the price.
Surprise.
Yeah. But like an engine management system for $1,000 is just really not in my opinion, not really realistic. And then to go and put 2 on it. So has he got 2 management systems, or just like,
No,
like
one
2 throttle
management
bodies
system,
hooked
just
into one management?
Yeah, it's 2 throttle bodies.
Yeah.
It shouldn't make any difference at all.
Yeah. They seem to be really prone to outside electronic interference.
That's
particularly on, the distributor is quite close to the little brain in the throttle body, and that causes issues. The Terminator, you put it inside the car.
He moved that stuff around everywhere, or he put grounds on top of grounds. Like it was just. I actually feel bad. All kidding aside, I feel bad for the amount of effort that he put into that thing. I knew it wasn't going to work.
He just may have, hindsight's 2020. But if I'd have been DD Speed Shop, I'd have spent the extra money and actually saved money and got the Terminator with direct injection type, like manifold injection, and I think he'd have had a better chance.
Yeah, he's here. The trick is to wire the snipers in the trunk.
Oh, yeah, well.
No, I'm going to do a video on this. I'm going to do a video on this because it's a travesty. Okay, so let's just say they do make good on it, right? I'm sure they probably will at least try to make good on it, but that's not the point. The thing is, how much time, how much energy, how much head scratching did you have to put into that thing?
He's actually spent thousands and thousands.
Yes.
Realistically.
Yeah, right.
Rude Mopar dude, I'm with you, man. I agree with you 100%. He recommends the Terminator X and multi-port if you have to go EFI. That's really the way to go. Or if you really want to be serious about it, get a Motec out of Australia. That is the shit. But that's about like a $6,000 computer.
The carburetor is the shit. The carburetor is
yeah.
Mark my words. Within a very short period of time, next 2-3 years, all of this aftermarket EFI is going by the wayside because there's just too many people having problems with them. And you can't.
Well, apparently, Fast is basically out of business now. Now I've heard. Don't sue me for slander or whatever, but I've heard Fast is like they're just in the death throes.
I believe it. I believe it. But I guess it's how much effort that and time had to go into that thing, right? And you're doing it in front of the public, on top. So you've got that added pressure. It's one thing when you see a lot of you guys who don't do YouTube, you don't understand the pressure that you're under when you do this stuff, because when you're just screwing out your car at home, or it's like, well, I'll walk away from it, no big deal, or I'll change my mind. You're free when you're working on your stuff yourself. You're just free to change your mind in your direction anytime you want. But when you're doing YouTube, once you state what you're going to do, or you have to see it through. You know what I mean? It's like, and there's this pressure that's like, I'm pissed off about the whole thing.
Fast forward to 289. Hey, thanks for the super chat, man.
Hello from North Carolina, new subscriber, and really enjoying the content and information you all provide. Keep up the great work. Well, thank you, man. You are subscribed to him, yeah?
Hopefully. Kiwi Classics and Custom. That's the home of Ford in Franklin, Tennessee. Do we do more Fords there than
you're
Ford
all
Lincoln
Fords.
and Franklin?
Yeah, DD saying, man, there's pressure and it's embarrassing. Yeah,
well, I agree. I'm with you, man.
Well, don't be embarrassed by it, because at least you've got the stones to go out there and show everybody. You know what I mean? Like, look, this isn't working. I tried, and I do it all the time. At least you got the stones to show the world what you're doing. You're not hiding anything, so nothing to be embarrassed about.
There's a high performance shop about 20 minutes south of me, which I won't mention their name, but because I don't want to talk out of school, but. They've got chassis dynos. They've got a dyno that goes on the rear axle straight onto the hub, and all that, like big TVs with all the graphs on them, and it's high tech. They really do not like working on the sniper, and because it's just endless issues. And if you bring them with a sniper, they'll probably be too busy.
Well, the thing is, okay, so that's the sniper, but okay, so you're talking about the Terminator now, right?
Yeah, the Terminator is much better. Yeah,
perhaps it is, but it still has a lot of specifics. Things have to be routed a certain way. Things have to be done a certain way, right? Now, it's just like to me, it's just like when people do late model engine swaps and they use all of the harnesses and everything from the late model car and the early car.
Mm-hmm.
The only person who can successfully or efficiently service that car is the person who put it together. So you know what I'm saying? So you take the harness out of. I've seen this happen so many times. You take all the electric, the engine and all the electrics out of a new Dodge Charger, and you transplant it all into the 60s car.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now all of that wiring and all of those processors and everything has to go in places, right? So now this is going on the kick panel, and you're extending the wires to put this in the trunk, and it's by the time you're done, the only person who can service that car that knows where all these components are and how they're
It's the guy who built it.
is the guy who built it.
Yeah.
And in my mind, when you're doing something like, let's say, even with a commercially available system like a Terminator, right,
Mm-hmm.
or any of them, there are so many specifics to that setup that once you pass this on to the next guy, unless he's intimately familiar with that system, he's got an unserviceable or an untunable thing.
A friend of mine is actually building a 69 Charger.
Okay.
And he's body swapping it onto a Hellcat.
Body swapping is different.
It is different, but I can see that growing, because that's actually like it's the chassis and the engines and all the components that make it go
are where they're supposed to be.
Where they're supposed to be. Right. It still thinks it's a Hellcat.
Right.
It still thinks it's just someone changed its dress and didn't tell it.
Right. You're just reskinning it.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
It's a guy called TC Pinnock. He's got a YouTube channel, a little one, but I'm.
I got a super chat here.
Mrs. Kiwi is watching.
Oh, hey, watching. She's always looking at me.
She said, "Careful, Rebecca M. He'll want to marry you." I got a feeling Rebecca M. might be a guy, though. That's the only thing.
Yeah, it's all different.
I'm not sure.
Kim is. All right. Bruce Lee KO. Thank you, sir. Any tips from determining proper jet size for altitude, specifically 5,300 feet? Not really, bro. Read your plugs. The only thing I tell you is just read your plugs. Need metal. The only good EFI comes from the factory. I agree with you 100%. People think that I'm down on EFI, right? In general, and I'm not. I raced EFI cars back in the 1980s. My Mustang was EFI. Me and the EEC4 system were like this. Okay, I worked with fuel injection, electronic fuel injection, every single step of the way during their evolution. I was a mechanic in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s. I've been on top of everything all along as far as the evolution of factory fuel injection. Those systems are fantastic. You can't argue with them. They're engineered for the long haul. They're engineered. How can I explain it to you? The manufacturers have the ability to R&D systems, develop systems, and R&D them. They're so far beyond. Even though Holley's a giant company, it's a pimple on an ant's ass compared to what General Motors or Ford or Chrysler can do. So a factory EFI system with the factory harnesses and the factory sensors and the factory processors and everything else, fine, go with it, right? But the aftermarket stuff, no. If it doesn't fail, if it ever does run right, it will fail in a relatively short period of time.
So I'm just going to give a plug for this guy that's building the Charger with the Hellcat, body swapping it. It's Bay One Customs. The guy's name's TC Pinnock. Very clever guy. And
where is he?
He's Springfield, Tennessee.
Okay, what's the name?
The company is Bay One Customs.
Bay One Customs.
So give that guy a look and have a look at what he's doing. Good guy, very clever, very thorough. Like makes me feel bad at times. Like he's good. His latest video's got like 600 views.
You should go
and
over
it really should have 6,000 views.
how the same way I go to your shop and I show some of the stuff that you're doing, you should go over there and show some of the stuff that he's doing.
Well, that's true.
You
I
know?
didn't think of that. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good idea.
A
That's a good
rising tide raises all ships.
Yeah, I mean, he should be like, he's certainly every bit as talented as I am. Every little bit as talented as I am.
I'll tell you what, I'll go with you.
Okay.
I'd like to see this.
All right.
So maybe we'll bring a GoPro and we'll
do it.
Let's do that.
Yeah. But have a quick look at his channel, guys. It's worth the visit.
Fast Forwards 289. Thank you for the super chat. It's channels like yours that inspire me to start doing YouTube videos on my old Ford. Got to keep the classics out there. Kiwi, I just subscribed.
Well, thanks,
there you
man.
go. And listen, if you've got you know that ring that you get around the bathtub or the trunk, Kiwi will come to your place. We'll talk about that later.
When can I get a good carb for less than $100 instead? You're not going to get a good carb for $100.
What's this now?
Someone was also just asking about their Holly. He's got 7 psi going to it, and should he have a fuel pressure regulator?
It's 7 psi now. You
don't
need it.
I thought 6 was about
Edelbrock.
Edelbrock.
Yeah. Carter Edelbrock is 6.
Right.
Holly's hold 7.
Or whole 7?
Yeah.
There you go. What I was going to add into that, if you do want to put a fuel pressure regulator, I always put the ones with the return in it.
Okay.
I've had trouble with the deadhead ones.
Right.
Like creeping. You'll have a 9 psi pump going, and you set it to 6.
What kind of regulators do you use?
The basic Holly regulators.
Okay.
But they creep, and I talked to Holly about it, and they say, if it's idling for a few minutes, it will creep, unless you have a bleed off or a return.
See, I've never had that problem, or maybe I never noticed it.
I don't know. Huh. But yeah, I was fighting one car, and you'd set the fuel pressure, and then you just watch it. And it did take a few minutes, but it would creep back up to close to the full amount that the pump was pushing. And as soon as you gave it a blip and used a bit of throttle, it would drop back to 6, and then it would slowly creep again. So now I always use the regulator with a return line, because then you can set it to like 6.1, and it'll stay at 6.1 like all day.
Keeps the fuel cool too.
Yeah. So anyway, that's that little thing.
Mike Jones, UTG, since DD is here, how is your 55 Chevy project coming along? Actually, it's coming along real good. A couple of days ago, they left the back door open at a Chinese restaurant around a block from me, and I stole a wok. It was cooled off, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I stole a wok, and I'm actually going to make the steering wheel out of the wok for the DD 55 Chevy.
Out of a wok?
Yes. I want it to be unique.
That will be unique. Yeah. That's very rat rod stuff there.
Yeah.
Mostly old parts. Kiwi, I've seen your issues with customers buying shoddily done restorations. I mean, it's like a weekly occurrence.
It's good for me.
Yeah. How common do you feel this issue is, and what's the best recourse for the customers in dealing with these piles of crap? The best recourse is to not put yourself in the situation where you need some recourse, honestly, because legally there's not. You're buying an old car, and it is what it is. You can't prove who did what 99% of the time. I've said it 100 times. Get an inspection. Get it up on a rack. You can't crawl around and look, like lay on your back and try and look at an angle under the floor and see what's going on. It needs to be up above your head, with a bright light, and see what's going on, and have someone looking at it that at least knows, has some ideas of the traps that, anyone that's really in the industry. And obviously I'm more of a Mustang guy, just the volume we get through the door. But I know where to look on a Camaro and a few others like that, and some of the Mopars, I'd defer to someone more like Tony, who just got more experience with them. But yeah, get an inspection done. Spend $300 because you might save 30 grand. That's a pretty good ratio, and it kind of stings if you find out the car's a lemon, and you've done your $300. And you're telling the guy you don't want it, so you're out $300. But yeah, honestly, you could have been out many thousands of dollars. So it's just, if you're going to buy an old car and you don't know them backwards, get an inspection. Get an inspection, and then you don't have an issue with recourse, because recourse just doesn't exist.
Okay, VW Manxman from Manx. Changing your fuel pressure will change your fuel level in the bowl. You should double check if you mess with the fuel pressure. You are wrong.
Yes, sorry, that's incorrect.
No, the fuel, okay, wherever the float stops the needle and seat, or wherever the float closes the needle and seat, is going to be the level. If you raise the pressure enough that it pushes
Force it
past,
yeah.
then yes, it'll raise the level, and then it'll eventually it won't stop until it floods over and the engine cuts off.
Yeah,
the engine floods. So no, fuel pressure and fuel level are two completely different things.
Yeah, and they shouldn't affect each other unless you've got wildly too much pressure.
Well, wildly too much pressure is going to
force it past the needle and seat. So that's the only time the two will interact, kind of thing.
Brad Wright, Uncle Tony, off-topic question, but would you by chance be related to the DeFeos of Amityville, Long Island? Yes. Ronnie was a cousin of mine.
What, the Amityville Horror?
Yeah.
Really? Ooh, scary. It's getting dark out too. Shit.
You're safe, bro. You're safe.
That's what they all say.
Let's see. Do you know there's a punk band in Los Angeles called Dawn DeFeo?
No.
Yeah. The speculation is that Dawn actually engineered the whole thing.
Right.
Right. And there's a punk band in New York named Dawn DeFeo.
Dawn DeFeo.
Yeah.
Okay. Bob C. Will using a spacer and raising the floats help when ethanol comes to Arizona?
What is it? Oh, okay. Raising the floats, no. No, the only thing raising the floats is going to do, assuming the float's already at the correct level, the only thing raising a float is going to do is increase the likelihood that when you step on the brakes or you make a turn or you accelerate too fast, it's going to flood over. That's the only thing it's going to do. There's only one fuel level. It's the correct fuel level. For drag racing, you can raise it just a scotch, but then so instead of being at the bottom of the sight plug, you can go midway up the sight plug, which is hard to do with a regular screw-in sight plug. But that's besides the point. You can raise. So for drag racing, you can raise the adjustment a flat. One flat will bring you approximately halfway up the sight hole. But only for drag racing. If you're going to be driving a thing on the street or doing anything with its turns involved, then the fuel is going to be at the bottom of the sight plug. So don't ever raise, to compensate for, there's only one right adjustment. Adding the spacer, yes, because the spacer will insulate the carburetor a little bit from heat. The ethanol starts to boil away at like 110 degrees or 120 degrees. So you want to keep the carburetor under that temperature.
Yeah. Paul Pajui, watch out, Kiwi. Yes, no, he's got my attention now. I mean,
Ron is saying best punk band reference ever is Uncle Tony's Yellow Bullet name, White Punk on Nitro. Yeah, that was, I used that name for a long time, White Punk on Nitro. Back when I was on Nitro.
Here's a good one, John M. Tony, what's up with the Jeep motor?
It's just sitting right there. It's just sitting right there.
Out of your little bronze copper Jeep?
No, that's the one I'm building. The one that knocks.
A little.
Yeah,
you hear him coming. Like,
well, that's the one I'm going to build.
Hey guys, Tony's going to be here in about 3 minutes. I can hear him down at the traffic light. Right. Knocking.
Bro, 60-something thousand miles now.
Yeah.
Knock.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Right?
I'm going to drive it down to Mississippi like next week and pick up a torque converter. I mean, it just goes. It just goes.
Goes.
I will get back to it. I've just been distracted by shiny objects. It's just the way it is. I will get back to it though.
Rumor has it Black Hoax was the first street racer on E85.
Donut Guard, Tony, whatever happened to Miata? I was looking forward to seeing it run circles. Bro, I finished the car. I ran it around here. I'm not a handling guy. I had a couple of people wanted to take it autocross racing, and I was like, great, awesome. Here's the car, come and get it. Go run the balls out of it to take video, and then bring it back when you're done. And nobody wanted to take me up on it. In the meantime, it was just sitting around here. I got tired of looking at it. I got tired of, and I parted it out.
Okay, mostly old parts. Is Kiwi, have you ever owned, driven a serious street race car? What do you mean exactly by serious street race car? Like a drag race type car?
Yeah.
Or a road course type car? Drag racing one, no. Street course type, turning left and right, yeah. Yeah, I have. But not drag racing, no.
Mike Jones, Kiwi, your opinion, please. A modern car that's wrecked, needs rails or whatever, gets its title tagged as rebuilt. Should the same apply to classic cars that get floors, rails, floor pans, etc.? It's a good question.
That is a good question, actually. The difference being, I guess, one's been in a wreck. I think if you wrecked a '66 Mustang and it was total loss by the insurance, I'm guessing it would come under that same rule. It would end up with a rebuild.
Salvage title.
Yeah, but rust, no. I mean, they're repairing, rusty late-ish model cars that are from the salt states, that are 12 years old and the chassis is rusting out of them and they're just getting repaired. They don't get rebuilt titles either. That one, that's a good question.
Well, the question, how would you police that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like who's going to actually stamp this car saying, yes, it had floor pans and rails and stuff like that replaced. You can't, you want to keep the government as far away from what you do as possible. So that's a real tough one.
Yeah, as you say, policing it would be.
I tell you what,
hard.
Just assume every car you buy has had rails and floors replaced. Just make that assumption going in. You know what I mean? And now inspect it to make sure that they did a good job. And then you can't possibly go wrong.
Franz H. Kiwi, what was the biggest turd of a car you have owned, driven? I would have to say that the worst one that I've owned was a Morris Marina Coupe, which is an English-made car, and it was just awful.
Really?
It was a little 1.8 engine, which was, like a Morris Oxford engine. Like
around what year was it?
That would have been, what year would it have been? Probably a 70s, somewhere around there.
60s, 70s, right?
Probably not 60s. I think the Marinas was out in the 70s, like late 70s. I'm trying to cast my mind back that far.
The thing with brick cars from that era, right? And it's through the 60s and the 70s, right? Because the metal had a weird consistency to it. It was like already pre-stretched.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if you tap on a fender of a brick car from that era, it has a completely different sound and a different feel.
That's true. It does. It works differently too.
Yeah.
When you're hammering on it. But the Morris Marina was just, did Morris use Lucas wiring and electrical? Yes, it did.
The Prince of Darkness.
They was just the worst, the slowest car. They had little Austin Marina sedans here in the States in the 70s. Yep, 60, what was it? Who's this? 672E Galaxy. That's the car I'm talking about. I had the coupe, the coupe, which was, they just welded up the back doors and called it a coupe, basically. Didn't give it any more power or anything like that. I think it had like 60 horsepower, and it was an automatic. So you put your foot down, and then you just waited, and waited a bit, and you had to you like when the drag racing tree comes down,
right?
And you're trying to anticipate. Well, you have to
leave on the first light,
the very first light. Yeah,
right.
You stand on it, and you'd still be last away from the traffic light.
That's the way that car is. There's Landy over there.
Oh,
Kathy was bracket racing, I think, for a while, and she had to leave on the third yellow.
Now the Marina, you had to leave before any lights came on, just about. But that was the biggest turd. But hey, I sold it for profit, so it was all good.
Daniel Snow, hey Tony, I have a Mopar 360 LA recently rebuilt And gray fine metal filings on the dipstick after break-in. Oh boy, that's not a good sign. The first oil change. Change it again and keep on it. Or, all right, man. Okay, so gray scuzz. If it's just like gray scuzz, that's the cylinder walls were honed a little were honed a little too rough, and too rough of a finish, and it's not good, but it's not terrible. Metal filings in that gray sludge means that you're eating something in the valve train, bro. So yeah, no, I don't have any good news for you. British pot metal. Yeah, bro. All of those cars. It was like you could take your thumb and push it into the metal, and it would just leave a dent. You know what I'm saying?
The Brits, the Brits don't make great cars. They just don't. In fact, the only British car I truly like is the Aston Martin.
Yeah, actually, I love the old Jags and stuff. But, yeah, like I don't really want them. I like to admire them from afar. I don't like that with a lot of cars. I look at some car like and like the E-types. I love those cars, but I don't want to own one.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like I like to admire other people's. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
I know that they're going to drive it away, and it's going to be their headache. You know.
A buddy of mine, Kevin Tates, he built an XJS with a LS, like a real healthy LS, and built it for his wife. She loved that type of car. They'd had one a couple of decades before. And anyway, so he built her up this lovely thing, and it was a gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous car. Horribly unreliable. Yeah. It wasn't the LS that was giving him trouble. It was all the British electrics that went with it. And it was just ongoing. And unfortunately, it got to the point where she just didn't want to drive it because every time we went to the supermarket, it'd break down. And they ended up selling it. It was such a gorgeous car, but he just got tired of chasing his tail with it.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing where you just keep the skin. Just like you got to take that skin and just drop it on something else. Wayne Buzzle wants to know, Kiwi, do you have any experience with a 350 swap Jag?
Not personal experience, no. I know it's been done a lot, and I know with the LS into the Jags, there's kits, there's people out there making mounts ready for it to be done. It's a more common swap than you'd think. John Anderson, don't tell me Kiwi is a Jacinda fan. Okay, I won't, and I'm not. I am not.
What's a Jacinda?
Jacinda was our old Prime Minister, or like our old President. Jacinda Ardern.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, she was a piece of work.
She was a piece of work.
I saw that.
Yeah, she left quite abruptly, almost. Like she was there one day, and then she announced she was stepping down, and she was gone.
She was like that whack that was in Michigan. Gretchen Whitmer.
Right.
It's like the two of them were kind of like interchangeable with each other.
Yeah, she started off well, and then the vast majority of New Zealanders hate her now. But hey, that's politics. Stranger sound. How did Kiwi end up in the States? I think this one may have been asked before, but we'll tell it again.
To do these lives. He came here to do these lives.
Yeah. I ended up here. I applied for my wife entered me in the green card lottery, which was something the States ran. And 3,000, basically, what you win is if you go in this lottery, and they offer up 3,000 visas to come and live and work in the States. And that's spread around the world, and I think New Zealand got about 300 of them. So you put your name in the bowl kind of thing, the computer bowl, and if your name comes up, you get to go and apply. And if you meet all the right criteria, they will say, "Come on down."
And you see, if you just waited another couple of years, you could have just walked through the border.
I could have just walked through anyway, but Mrs. Kiwi wouldn't let me. She's like, "We'll get arrested."
Mrs. Kiwi does the right thing.
Yes, she does. She keeps me on the straight and narrow most of the time.
What's up, Rain Lane 6? How are you? Chris Cadman, who at the end of the day made the best RPM cube-to-cube V8? I don't know what you mean by cube-to-cube V8.
Best RPM V8. I would have to say, is the Cosworth Ford V8,
Mm,
which
that's-
they put in the Formula One. That's a Formula One engine.
Yeah, I think that's out of the realm of what these guys are, because there's a lot of exotic V8s. I think he's talking about just like the typical production ones.
Okay.
So the 351 Cleveland is hard to top as far as that goes. Like inch for inch, pound for pound. The 351 Cleveland, and it's obviously not the strongest engine out there, and it doesn't have the biggest overall potential. But I think bang for the buck, inch for inch, the 351 Cleveland is probably the engine.
Interesting. I would have said it was like a 283 or a 289. 283
Really?
Chevy or 289 Ford.
They don't breathe as much.
They've got to be built right.
Right, but
Yeah.
just
But as far as being a screamer, I mean, they're just little engines, so they make their power by up through RPM.
Yeah. But if you were to say, well, okay, which engine am I going to I've got my most potential, best bang for the buck, what would it be?
That's a tough one, actually. But you're probably not far off the mark with the Cleveland or the Windsor. Well, yeah, the Windsor's, it does have a little bit of a strength issue with the block, as we touched on earlier.
The Cleveland's a compact motor.
Yeah.
With big blockheads.
Yeah.
Which has got the same breathing ability as well, I mean, 450 cubic inch, 500 cubic inch, those heads will still work.
Yeah.
I would say
Yeah. Well,
for the buck, that's probably the engine.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely tend to agree, because like the Boss 302 that we were talking earlier that had the big block Cleveland heads on it, the Windsor block with the Cleveland heads. I mean, those they ran those in the SCCA, and they were just turning 8,500 all day long. And this was back in the 70s. We didn't have the exotic materials then that we do now, like the NASCAR engines now that run 10 all day long.
You wonder,
some really clever shit in there.
You think about the technology that we have today, and you look back at stuff that was run 40 years ago, 50 years ago, and you say, how the hell did they do that? Like, I always marvel at, like you tear apart like a Hemi motor, right? The factory parts. And it's like, this shit lived for days at 7,000 RPM. You know what I mean? It's just like, that's its happy place. And you say, well, how could that possibly be? You get these giant, huge tree trunks of connecting rods and these giant, huge pistons and all this heavy stuff. And it just spun up there to like 6,000, 7,000 and stayed there for hours. I mean, it's just amazing. And how did they do that without the technology, without the CAD programs and everything else that we have today, without the materials that we have today?
Yeah. Yeah, there were some clever guys back then. What have we got?
Fubar, thank you. Fubar just put a link to our merch. So if you want a hat or a T-shirt or stickers or anything like that, Fubar, thank you, Fubar. Just put the link there. Thanks.
Rescued and restored garage. Do you guys think the 4V heads are too much for the street? Not necessarily too much, but 2V heads would be better.
It needs some gear and a converter.
Yeah.
I was saying NASCAR no longer relates to the real world. No flies on the drivers, but it's the modern Circus Maximus. I don't know. They lost. I mean, honestly, when Dale Earnhardt died, that was it. I could not. I came to realize that the only reason. So when I was a kid, I used to watch NASCAR because I was a Mopar freak, and it was like anything Mopar. It's like, go right. And then I lost interest in it when Mopar just kind of like faded off and wasn't really the thing anymore. And then Earnhardt became the thing, right? And I remember early on in his career, you were an Earnhardt fan?
Yes. Yeah.
Right? It was just amazing. I used to watch. It was just like boxing, right? Like, I was never really a boxing fan until Mike Tyson came along.
Right.
And then it was like, there's just no way I'm going to miss a fight.
Right.
And it was the same thing with NASCAR when Earnhardt was racing. There was just no way I was going to miss a race. And then he died, and I don't think I've actually seen a NASCAR race since.
Oh, wow. No, I must admit I've drifted away from NASCAR a bit in the last few years, but I used to be a diehard fan. Mostly old parts. You're a busy man. You have lots of questions, which is all
He
good.
does. He's all over. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you got to swap him out for your guy Steve sometime. Just see how
There
it
you
works
go.
out. They're both.
Would I prefer a C4 and FMX transmission? A C4. Yeah, a C4. I did installed a 4R70WE not long ago behind a 331 stroker. That's a nice transmission. C4s are getting a little thin on the ground, but you know, built well, they're a pretty indestructible transmission for a 3-speeder.
Are you guys sub to Kiwi? Did you sub to Kiwi's channel? Did you watch all of his videos? Did you like all of his videos? Have you shared all of his videos with everybody you know? Because if not, there's a problem. There's a problem.
Tony's coming to visit if you haven't done that. Rescue and Restore Garage. How would you build your 351 Cleveland? Man, that's a tricky question because it's like, what are your goals for it? Do you want it just stock? Do you want it, you know, like wild, mild, you know, somewhere in between? And obviously, it's a lot of it's budget related. Yeah. I mean, that car of yours is, if you just put it back to stock, maybe just a little bit better cam, you know, like a modern camshaft on the Cleveland, not too big a carburetor, and you know, that'll be a nice car to drive. You know, if you want 400, 450 horse, you're going to have to start spending a bit more money. Yeah, it's a lot of it. You know, how do you build someone's engine? It's you build it how they want it built.
That's the unanswerable question because everybody has specific things, requirements, or things that they're looking for. We don't all have the same, you know, idea of what is good. Luke 1, thank you for the super chat. 1966 383 casting is the only lifter difference than a 68. The pushrod end size or the lifter board different too? No, the lifter boards are all the same. All Chrysler V8s from that era. Okay, so you're looking at all of your early Hemis, all of your Polys, all of your big blocks, all of your small blocks, all of the slant sixes, all have the same diameter lifter board. No change to any of the Chrysler line. And that's from 1951 to like 2000s, right? You know, the end of Magnum production. So yeah, the end of the pushrod, they went from like that pointy end on the pushrod, you know, where it tapers down to where it's just a uniform length all the way up and down. I think they did that in 67. I'm not sure, but it's the same length, the same everything.
French Onion Stadium Super Trucks is the best. They're pretty cool to watch. They're spectacular.
Big Willie Robinson and his Street Strip Daytona. Yeah, my friend Gary French had that car for a while. Okay, Joe K, what do you say, Kiwi and Tony, are your picks for the best looking engine?
Has to be the Ford Boss engine.
I'm gonna say, so stock engine or modified engine? Stock engine or modified engine? Because stock engine, I'm gonna go with the stock engine. I think is beautiful is the 346 pack, minus the air cleaner. Right, you put the air cleaner on it, and you ruin it. But there's something about the way the carbs line up on that engine that everything is just so nicely in proportion. They're beautiful. So I would say 346 pack would be perhaps number one. Nailhead Buick is close.
409.
Yeah, the W motors
the best looking. Yeah, they were. I mean, they're neat to look at because you don't see them much anymore.
Yeah, but they do have that scalloped valve cover. It does have. It's very artistic. It's a beautiful engine.
It's cool.
See, I love engines, so it's like I look at any engine and I find something beautiful about it. That's the thing.
Even the LS.
I love LSs.
Great engine, not pretty.
No, they're not pretty. They're
Not
not pretty, and they're hard to make pretty.
I've seen. They make a Hemi valve cover to go on those.
I know, I've seen.
Oh, good grief.
But overall, I say the most beautiful engine I think I've ever seen. Right, if you go to hotheads.com, right? Go to Hotheads. They make the early Hemi stuff, right? There's a picture in the DeSoto section. There's a picture of an injected DeSoto, a stack injected DeSoto engine. And I remember just staring at that thing, like I was just flipping along. And I remember just that engine just caught me, right? And it's just so gorgeous. So I would say that's probably the most beautiful engine I've ever seen. And then you get into
Daimler 250 Hemi. Huh. Actually, yeah, that's not a bad call.
Yeah. Well, that's like a Dodge Red Ram Hemi. They're really close.
It's similar, yeah.
I thought they were a little out of scale. See, like the Chrysler is cool. The Chrysler Firepower is definitely cool. The DeSoto is just so right. The DeSoto is like a jewel, okay? And then you get to the Dodge, and the Dodge Red Ram, there's something odd proportion about it. It's just the covers are a little too narrow, a little too stubby. The plug wires look too big in proportion. Like, does that make any sense? I know I'm nitpicking. I'm really nitpicking, right? But I'm insane. And this is the kind of thing that occupies my head.
These guys are coming up. I mean, the old Jag engine, the Jaguar 6 for the
Oh,
at
yeah.
0. Yeah. I remember seeing Tom Walkinshaw's XJS as a Group A touring car. That was a pretty engine. Like the engine, he lifted the hood on that, and it was like, oh, that was.
Nicholas Agnew. Cool. I'm biased towards the Datsun L series. Are you now? I'm not really a Datsun guy.
Right.
Is that the motor they put in the 240s?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
They made a 6-cylinder and a 4-cylinder. They made the little, like the 1600s and 2.4 liter 4-cylinders. Look, I'm not sure whether they were actually called an L series, but they look just like the 240Z motor with 2 cylinders chopped off.
Okay, yeah, I remember those.
Yeah,
I remember those.
Yeah,
but I had two 240Zs years ago when I was a kid, and yeah, he's right. Those engines are just gorgeous. They're beautiful.
They've made that engine into a diesel.
Yeah.
And what the race car boys do is they get the diesel engines that have got thicker bores in them, and use those convert them back to gasoline and race them.
The Offie 4 is a little overdone, if you ask me. I know they're okay, but
supercharged T-Bird. Cleveland 2V heads better than the 351M heads. Well, it depends whether. I mean, the M is a Cleveland. The 351M is a 351 Cleveland, and they come with 2 or 4 barrel heads, or 4V, 2B. And for street use, the 2V is better. It just is. Cosworth twin cam Vega motor. Yep. Yeah. Cosworth did some trick things back in the day. That was a clever company. Twin carb VW air cooled. Oh man, I don't know about that.
Where do you get to see it, really? You know what I mean? That's the thing, right? If it's sitting on a stand, yeah, right. But once it's in the car, you can't see it.
Yeah, I don't know. I've just never been a big fan of the flat 4 VW motor.
Really?
No, I know that goes against the grain with a lot of people, but I mean, it is what it is, and you can't help what you like and don't like.
So when you were like 14, you and your friends never stole the engine out of one in a parking lot?
No.
In a supermarket parking lot?
No. It takes about 12 minutes to get the engine out, doesn't it?
3 guys.
Yeah.
2 guys lift the car. The one guy slides a milk crate underneath it, 4 bolts.
Gone. That'd be frustrating. We'd go and buy your box of popsicles and come back with no engine.
Bill McKeiska, do you guys like hood-mounted tacks? Depends on the car. Depends on the car.
Some of the Pontiacs and stuff like that had them from the factory, they were pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like you can't have you can't have a 70 goat without a hood-mounted tack. It's just, the two go hand in hand.
So in that situation, yeah, they're cool. We get bugs coming in here, man.
Well, I mean,
The
look,
door
we got
is
the
wide
door,
open.
the wilderness is right there.
You have to watch out for dingoes coming in. Now, what's this about a 3-valve Cleveland head? Fast forwards, you're talking about that with Rebecca. I saw it flash by before when Rebecca asked about that, a 3V version. I'm obviously not up with the play. I mean, I've got trick flow heads on my Mustang, but that's a big block. I didn't know they were making a 3-valve version. That's fairly trick.
Wayne is saying they look great.
VW Manx man from Manx. I forgive you, Kiwi, each to his own. Well, thanks, man.
Wayne is talking about the Volkswagen motor. He says they look great in the sandrail or fiberglass dune buggy. Did you see the guy who built? It's a Google this, right? It's a gasser. It's a what the hell body is it now? Not a Carmen gear. It's a it's right on the tip of my tongue. Almost a panel wagon looking car, the Volkswagen.
Oh, the variant, VW variant.
No, why can't I think of the name of it? It's right on the tip of my tongue. Look up twin engine VW gasser. I feel like an idiot that I can't think of what the model of the car is. It's brain tumor, right? But yeah, look up twin engine VW gasser. That's trick. That's beautiful.
Okay. Kiwi, what cars do you own?
Square back. Thank you. Thank you.
There we go. Kiwi, what cars do you own? Well, let's see. Got a 57 Buick Riviera. I have about 68 D100 Dodge. I got a 2008 2500 Dodge, 63 Falcon, 66 Mustang.
You have a lot of cars.
Starion, Barracuda. Oh shit, Mrs. Kiwi might be watching. I better be quiet. That's all. That's my official word on it. That's all. No more.
Dude, we're coming in on 2 hours.
We are.
You can believe that. Type 3 squareback, I have 2. Yeah. Well, did you see the one I'm talking about? That the guy built a front engine. He used 2 Volkswagen motors, so he made a flat 8, and it's just beautiful. Just beautiful. What the hell is that?
It's a big old moth flying around.
Wow. It's like a bat.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Oh well. See, squirrel.
Okay, yeah, Zero just put a link to it. Joe K, how about
quick, isn't he? Like Zero? It's like you just found it.
How about picks for the worst looking engine? Worst looking engine. The original Vega 4 was an ugly thing with that slanted valve cover. Ugly engine.
You're gonna hate me for this, but the slant 6.
Really?
It just looks odd to me.
It does. There's one right there. Yeah,
it just
I know.
Looks odd.
I know.
Maybe not the ugliest, but I mean, it's
there's
certainly one of the odder ones.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I see. Like I said, I'm an engine. I love engines, so it's like it's hard for me to look at one and not see something that I love about it.
Well, that's true.
That's
true.
All right, guys.
The LS would be up there for ugly engines, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, they're working on it. They're getting better valve covers and better things, but it's just a stock.
Just a
early
stock LS
is a very. It's like, yeah.
Okay, I don't even know what the hell this thing is. I don't even know what it is. Have you looked under the hood of a new Bronco?
No, that's a Coyote engine, isn't it?
I have no idea what it is. It is
the big Bronco or the little baby Bronco?
The new one.
Well, there's a new big one and a new baby one.
Oh God, I don't know.
The
Just
Bronco
the first one that they introduced, because I saw this about a year ago.
Yeah, one's a V8, one's a 4-banger.
This was a V8.
Right. Yeah, that's the Coyote.
You can't find an engine under the hood.
Yeah, well, there is that.
You open that hood and it's like, and you just close it because it's like, there's nothing in there for me.
Yeah, a lot of plastic. Yeah.
All right, Guys, we've been going for 2 hours. I still have stuff I got to do tonight before the night's over. Okay.
And I've got a bourbon back home with my name on it.
Oh, he has to go home and get drunk. This is important, right? We have to end this now. Now, before it goes any
where I
further.
get my creativity from. Yes.
So, and if you sub to Kiwis, he will come over your house and
have a bourbon with you.
With you, yes, a bourbon. Would you really do that?
Probably. Yeah.
Okay, so there you go. Sub to Kiwis. Send him an email. Tell him that you subbed. Give me your address and everything, and he will show up at your door in like a robe, right, with a pipe. He doesn't smoke, but he'll show up with a robe and a pipe and a bourbon. Yes.
Let's just go with the bourbon.
And as I said, if you're currently a subscriber to Kiwis, if you send pictures of your family, send pictures of your children, he will judge your family. So if you ever want to know if you had a good looking family, or they're not so hot looking, or maybe they're a little freakish, right? Kiwi will be happy to judge your family, providing you've already subbed to his channel.
Where does this come from?
It's I don't know, man. I don't know.
What spills forth from your brain is quite staggering at times.
It's all the acid I did when I was a kid.
It must be.
I'm not joking.
Kiwi must edit his videos after a night came. Oh, hey guy, I fluffed a video up completely.
What'd you do?
It was like 4 pieces of it, like 4 clips, and I put part 1, well not part 1, but like scene 1, scene 2, scene 2, scene 4, instead of 1, 2, 3, 4.
We've done that a time or two.
And it's like, and people are going, this doesn't make any, you missed it. But I'm like, what are they talking about? And then I watched it and went, shit. It was a balls up, but what do you do?
It happened.
It was late and I was tired, and I'm sure the bourbon had nothing to do with it. But who knows?
VW makes LSD never leaves the brain. That would explain a lot about Uncle Tony. It doesn't stay in the brain. It stays in the spinal column. Yeah. What are you gonna do, right?
Old rusty bastard. Just tuned in. Has anyone asked Mark Warman his take on the Ghost Challenger?
He's a ninny. I don't have any. All right.
We took pictures, like a mate of mine. We went out to SEMA, and he's out there, and so we I have no time. Like most of the car guys on TV are pretty good, but there's a handful that is like,
they rub you the wrong way.
He's one of them, and he was there, and twice we got pictures with him, like doing selfies, and my buddy's like behind us, like doing stupid shit. Like he had no idea we were actually taking the piss out of him, but we were. Yeah. And again, a couple of bourbons may have been involved, but
I never really thought much about the guy. I can't
stand his show. He's probably a decent guy, to be fair. But
no,
his show is just.
I became friendly with David Ray.
Right.
Back when I first started this channel. Actually, we went to Carlisle together. So I got friendly with David Ray, and right after Woman fired him, and it was just I don't want to talk about like other people's.
Yeah, I couldn't do that show. I mean, they had some cool cars on there, but the way they did things and the stage drama and stuff.
Yeah,
I'm out.
It's a little over the top.
And his boxing, like he's pretending to fight, and it's like. And you've never seen a street fight in your friggin' life.
The funny thing is that his go-to guy, his right-hand guy, is Tony D'Agostino.
Right.
It's Tony Mopar.
Right.
Me and Tony go back to when we were teenagers.
Right.
Because he was upstate New York. I was in Staten Island, and we were like 2 Mopar fanatics, and we were always hunting for the same stuff. And his old man had money. His old man had a lot of money. So when I needed money, I used to haul all my shit up to their place and sell it all. So he was like the bank of D'Agostino for me for a while. And I was like, I was married, and I was like, oh, we can't pay the electric bill. What do we got? Okay, I got some Hemi valve covers. I got an oil pan. I got some badges. Okay, let me run this up to D'Agostino's, and I would turn it into cash, come home and pay the bills.
There you go.
So
getting it done.
All right. So that's it, guys. We're gonna get out of here. Everybody, our mods always have to thank our mods first, right? Ari, Fubar Zero, Thank you, guys. Thank you. Everybody contributed super chat. Thank you also. Greatly appreciated. It helps keeps the big bills. This place costs me a lot of freaking money. So yes, thank you always for that. And never expected, but always appreciated. And everybody contributed with just your presence and your conversation.
Yep.
Thanks
to all of you guys. Thanks to the mods. The guys we didn't get to answer the questions of, this little side of the screen here is scrolling up and down real fast, and we missed some of them.
We'll be back next Thursday.
Yeah, we'll be back next Thursday. Keep asking the questions. We'll get to you. It's not that we're ignoring you. There's not enough time, man.
Was one or two that I'm ignoring? No, that's not true. That's not true. Yeah, we love you guys. Thank you.
All right. See you guys.
Good night, all. You can't get up until I hit the buttons to make this thing go away. See, like people are still watching. Now, I tell you what, I'm just going to let it run. And then we're still running. All right, yeah.
Is this thing on?
Okay.